Welcome back to the Multi-Orgasmic Millionaire. It's Tilly Storm, and today I want to share with you a quick announcement because we are coming up to October 9th, 10th, and 11th of 2024, and I want to tell you something very special that is going to be happening on those 3 days. I am hosting the 3-day pleasure challenge for women, whether you are in the thick of motherhood, whether you are navigating perimenopause or you are postmenopausal and you feel completely disconnected with your body. If you got taught that pleasure did not matter, if you got taught that it was for someone else, if you believe that it's something that you can only have when all of the to-dos are checked off of your to-do list, if you think it's for men, then I want you to run, not walk, to go register at the link in the show notes to the 3-day pleasure challenge. Because this, my loves, is what is keeping you, this negative programming is what is keeping you stuck in the struggle paradigm. The paradigm that says I have to work in order to earn more of what I want, that I have to struggle in order to get where I want to be, that I have to do more, be more consistently, make more, have more, blah, 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 in order to be worthy and deserving of the pleasure and the joy that I truly seek in this lifetime. And I'm here to tell you that I am tired of women pretending that their pleasure doesn't matter, that it's the last thing on their to-do list. And what I'm sharing with you and what I'm going to tell you today are the 4 shifts that I had to change in my life in order to experience more pleasure and more prosperity in my personal life. And I'm going to tell you that putting it on the back burner wasn't how I got there. It was making it the priority. So I'm going to share with you the 4 things I had to shift today to get there. And then I'm going to actually be taking you through the somatic practices that are going to help you shift this negative thinking, this negative mindset around your own pleasure so that you can create this shift and change in your life too. So go sign up for the 3-day pleasure challenge at the link in the show notes, and I'm so excited to see you there. There are going to be special bonuses for those who attend live. Everyone who attends live at least one day is going to receive my Surrender to Receive workshop. It's a workshop that usually goes for $55. I'm giving it to you for free. And if you attend live, you are going to be entered into win one of 3 spaces into my 8 types of orgasms for women. Blueprint Training is an online course. It's a 6-week online course that's valued at $547. 3 of you will get it absolutely for free just for attending live. You will be much more likely to be one of the 3 women to receive the 8 types of orgasms online course if you attend all 3 days, because your name will be entered in multiple times, not just once, into the drawing. So go sign up for the 3-day pleasure challenge, and I am so excited to see you there. Welcome to the Multi-Orgasmic Millionaire Podcast, where sexual liberation meets financial empowerment. Join me, Tilly Storm, top 20 sex coach worldwide, on my own journey to becoming a multi-orgasmic millionaire through the mystical art of sex magic, financial savvy, and guidance from my very own mystical yoni oracle. I'm going to reveal how I'm turning orgasms into cold, hard cash. Get ready to dive deep and discover the secrets to living a life of abundance on your own multi-orgasmic terms. All right, ladies, the first shift that had to happen in order for me to explode my pleasure and prosperity is that my relationship with my body had to change. I had to learn to trust my body and to listen to my body no matter what. I noticed that when things weren't working out for me, when I wasn't experiencing the pleasure I wanted in the bedroom, or when my business wasn't doing what I wanted it to be doing and nothing seemed to be working, then that's because I had to double down on my commitment to being in communion with my body and my intuition above anything else. It's because I was putting something else above being in communion with the body and my inner intuition and inner knowing. I actually had to put myself through my own programs at times. I'm actually currently going through my signature program right now. I am working on week 3 of my own program. Why? Because the program is designed to do just that. It's designed to help you shift your relationship with your body to bring you home back into yourself so you stop listening to everyone that gives you the 6-step process to have a cervical orgasm. And hey, I've even done that. I have even given you those techniques and strategies. Have they worked for you? Have you listened to those podcasts where I give you the technique and the strategy and I tell you exactly what to do and in what order? Did it work? My answer that I can only imagine for you is that it didn't. Why? Because there is no technique or strategy that is going to lead you to your pleasure and your prosperity. There is no blueprint that someone else can say, here, do this step, do that step, do this step, and it work exactly like that for you. Do you need the blueprint? Yes, you do need the blueprint. However, when you have the blueprint, you are able to then learn the skills that are required and the necessary in order for the thing that you want to work for you. Because what works for me isn't always going to work for everyone else. But if the blueprint, if it is wired with sovereignty, if it is wired into the blueprint to help you be a sovereign being, to show you what is required to connecting your body and to listen to your body, then that is a blueprint that you need in order to do that. Are you seeing the logic here? Are you seeing how when I give you a step-by-step formula to experience whatever type of pleasure or orgasm you want, that might not be the exact formula that works for you? Why? Because every body is different. Literally every body is different and every business is different. That is why you can go get every single business strategy in the books and you can do them and implement them and get an A+ in doing it, and it fall completely flat. You make zero money. You get no clients from it. That is why, because you can't overlay what works for someone else on yourself and expect it to get the same results, because you have a different energetic blueprint. You have a different transmission that is part of who you are. That's part of your original essence. You can't copy what works for someone else and expect it to do the same for you. But if the blueprint is encoded with sovereignty codes, that the blueprint is helping you to learn to trust your body and your intuition, then it will, in fact, lead you to do just that. And it is when you get there that you finally recognize that there are no strategies under the sun that could make it possible for you to have a cervical or an energy orgasm or for you to have a 6-figure month in your business. It's not about the strategy. It's very rarely about any type of strategy. It has everything to do with the energy and trusting yourself, your body, and your own intuition. And you would know because if you've done the strategies, if you followed the techniques step by step as they're given by everybody online, and they are not, it's not hard to combine that information, right? Then you would have what you want and you wouldn't be listening to this podcast. Now, the second thing that I had to shift to exploit my pleasure and prosperity is that I had to let go of thinking that pleasure was something that I could only reward myself with when everything else was taken care of. And I mean in the face of extreme fear, uncertainty, and scarcity. Even then, and it is in those moments of extreme uncertainty, fear, and scarcity that you have to double down on that even more. You have to double down on recognizing, like, oh, I didn't hit my income goals this month, or I didn't get where I wanted to be in my sexual experiences with my partner, and I don't know that I'm ever going to get here, right? For example, cervical and energy orgasms don't happen after the kids move out of your house and you no longer have to work, right? That wasn't my case. But I can tell you that there are a lot of women out there who think that that is the only time that they're going to ever be able to get where they want when it comes to their sex life and their relationship, is that something else outside of them has to change in order for them to have what they want. Now, the kids have to be gone, that they have to be retired because they're never going to have the time to do the thing that they actually want to do, and blah, 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 blah. This is not how it works. Okay. You have to get rid of that thinking, that brainwashed programming that says in order to have we want, all of the conditions in your life have to be right and set up in prime in order for you to get there. Guess what, honey? They are never, ever going to be just right because life is always going to life. It will never be the perfect time. You will never have every circumstance just right in order for you to finally say, okay, now is the time. Now is the time that I want to do this thing. Now is the time that I'm going to focus on my pleasure. I'm going to prioritize it. No, I learned to have cervical orgasms when I was a mom of 4 kids. 2 were my stepkids who stayed with us full time. 2 of them were my own. And I took all 4 of them to 4 different schools for like 2 years. This is when I learned to have cervical orgasms and full body and energy orgasms. This is when I learned Tantra with my partner at the time. This is the time of my life that I was the most busy, that I doubled down on the things that brought me pleasure because I did not choose to continue that programming, that I could only have what I wanted when everything lined up in my life that afforded me the time and the energy to have it. I said, fuck that. I said, fuck that shit. I'm not doing that. That's not who I am. I know that I can have what I want now. I know that I can follow my pleasure now. I can claim that as my birthright and move in that direction anyway. Okay, I took intentional time to have long sex date nights with my partner at the time. And if I had waited to start my business, that was the most hilarious one. If I had waited to start my business when I thought I had the money to do it or that I had the cushion to do it financially, I would never have done it. I would still be, God only knows, doulaing, working at a birth center or something. This was almost 8 years ago now. I made a choice that this is how I want to make money. And that is what I did because that is what brought me pleasure. I was faced with a very scary and uncertain decision when I first started my business. I was single. My marriage had just imploded because of a drunk driving accident and extreme financial loss and debt due to a year of my ex-husband not working for a year because of the drunk driving accident, not being allowed to drive. And I almost lost my house. Fortunately, we were able to sell it before it went on to short sale. I got $2,000 for the sale of my house. That was after we split the money. And I had $2,000 to my name to figure it out with 2 kids. Had to move cities, had to make a life for myself. And I was faced with a very serious decision of like, am I actually going to do this business and make it work? Or am I going to go live with my parents and suck it? That was a fuck no. And I decided that I was going to find a way to make it work, not sit around and wait for the perfect time or when I deemed things just right, when I had the perfect website or when I had the beautiful social media channel or when I had someone to help me market. No, I did it because I knew that's what I wanted. I followed my pleasure and I did what I knew that I wanted to do with my life. I didn't settle. There will never be a perfect time. So you have to let go of the thinking that pleasure is something that you can only reward yourself with when everything else is taken care of. That will never happen. All right, the third shift that had to happen in order for me to explode my pleasure and prosperity is that I had to stop putting my intellect on a pedestal as if it was better than or more evolved than my primal instincts and my primal thinking mind, my unconscious mind. I had to learn to stop glorifying my critical thinking skills. I had to start putting that cortical thinking brain off of the pedestal because that is what industrialized education in college taught me. I had to unwind the conditioning that we have all received from day one, that the body is not to be trusted, that you can only think your way to success. Well, that is not true. This is the exact conditioning. Everything you were conditioned to believe in industrialized educational system is that you have to think your way to what you want. Honey, that is not how you are ever going to experience the orgasms you want to have or the pleasure you want to have, and is not ever going to work if you're going to build a business and a personal brand based on your story and your authentic self and the truth of who you are. Just like I shared in number 1, you have to listen to your body and your intuition. And in order to do that, you have to stop putting on a pedestal your quotable thinking mind, the mind that has to figure it all out, the mind that says, do step 1, do step 2, do step 3, and get result. That's not how it works with pleasure and orgasms in business. It is not. That isn't how it works. You've got to learn to trust your primal instincts. You've got to learn that your body has a mind of its own, that it's actually the portal that God can speak through if you listen to it. But that isn't what religion taught you either. That's definitely not what religion taught you. There's not a single damn religion out there that I can think of that says, yeah, listen to your body. God speaks to you through your body. No, God is some man in the sky with white hair or something. I don't know. Maybe he's Black Jesus to you. Who knows? Or whoever, right? That you have to pray to in order to get what you want, but it isn't something that you can have a direct path to. Most religions teach that there has to be someone in between you and God that can distill and disperse information from God to you. Tantra and Taoism teach the opposite. They're the only two spiritual traditions, and maybe some Native American traditions that teach, or in shamanic traditions that teach that your body is a direct portal to God, that you don't need the third party. You don't need the middleman. You don't need that. That if you just knew how to listen to your body, then you can trust that your instinct is going to bring you more of what you want. The fourth way that I exploited my pleasure and prosperity, the fourth thing that I had to shift was that in business, I had to stop thinking I needed another strategy or funnel when I already had many. And in sex, I had to stop thinking that I needed a step-by-step guide on how to have the pleasure that I wanted. For both, I realized that I couldn't think my way to success. Unlike everything else in my life, I could not think and strategize my way into what I wanted. But when it came to my business and my pleasure, I realized that was never going to work. Instead of thinking through it, I had to feel my way to success. I had to learn to advocate for my pleasure. I had to stop expecting people to read my mind who came to my pleasure. I realized that no one else was going to do it for me or figure out what I needed for me. I had to take my pleasure into my own hands and figure out what felt good in terms of orgasm and sexual experiences, and to figure out what brought me pleasure in my business. This isn't something that someone could hand over to me and be like, oh, do this and you will have success. I tried that. I've done that many times and it never works. It's never worked. But when you feel your way to success, that means that you also have the emotional maturity and the understanding of how to alchemize the emotions that you deem negative, like the fear, uncertainty, scarcity, disgust, shame, guilt, all of those emotions. They are going to come up. they're absolutely going to come up. And it's how we relate to those emotions that becomes the sticky point, that becomes the issue, because most of us are taught to ignore them and repress them. And we have many behaviors that we utilize in our day to day lives in order to do that that are very effective until there comes a point in time where you know that you can no longer go on like that if you're ever going to get what you want. So, when it comes to experiencing full body energy orgasms, you are never going to have them if you're consistently repressing emotions, if you're shaming and judging yourself for your experience of pleasure, and if you're constantly judging your clitoral orgasm as less than your cervical orgasm, if you think that your vibrator orgasm is less than doing it with your hands or whatever people think about their pleasure, they put so much judgment on it. Well, no wonder you're not experiencing the pleasure that you want because you're judging pleasure. You're judging the way that it's coming to you. And if you're judging it, is it going to feel really welcome? No. No one that's judged feels welcomed. So pleasure is going to go bye-bye, and it is not going to be in your experience of reality. But there are many sexuality teachers out there who are teaching that some pleasure is less than and some pleasure is more than, that there's an hierarchy to it. I hear it all the time and it drives me bonkers because if you want more pleasure, stop judging the pleasure that you're already getting. Yeah, sure. Maybe you want to learn how to have an orgasm without a vibrator. You know, the quickest way for that to happen? To stop judging having orgasm with a vibrator. Okay? So those, my loves, are the 4 shifts that had to happen in order for me to explode my pleasure glass ceiling, for me to explode my prosperity, and how I have run my business for almost 8 years now. And this is what I'm going to be teaching you in the 3-day pleasure challenge. Some of the exact embodiment practices, the ways to get out of your head, to learn to be in your body in the first place, to step into that realm where you're kind of forced to listen. You're kind of forced to feel something for the first time. And that might be scary for you. And I get that. And sometimes it can seem overwhelming, like, oh my God, if I actually take 5 minutes to just listen to my body, what might come up? I don't know. I'm scared. I hear you. I get it. I've gone through periods of my life where I haven't connected with myself for a while. And then I recognize uh, also nothing is working out. And the only path forward, the only path through the stuckness is to come home to the body. So if you have not already, I want you headed to the link in the show notes and sign up for the 3-day pleasure challenge. We're going to be doing some amazing somatic practices, breathwork practices, world healing practices, nervous system reset practices to give you the tools that you actually need to come home to your body as well. How lovely that will be. Look forward to it, Hamamas, because that's what we're going to be doing October 9th, 10th, and 11th. Remember, lots of amazing things. If you come live, you will get the Surrender to Receive workshop. And if you come live, you will be entered to win one of 3 spots in my 8 types of orgasms training for women. And you will be more likely to get that if you attend all 3 of the days for the challenge. It's only 45 minutes each day, 2 p.m. Eastern time. Head to the link in the show notes, sign up, share it with a friend, and I will see you there. Thank you so much for joining me.